So I said, this little guy is here because of these mother's great things. So she'd like to tell you her little story.
So my little guy here, Huxley, as you can see, he's a beautiful, healthy baby boy, growing nice and strong, which is really fantastic, and I thank God very, very much, and our wonderful Vianna and the amazing tools that we have through ThetaHealing, because without that, you know, who really knows? It's even making me a little bit teary. But my pregnancy with Huxley, it certainly wasn't very easy, but it could have been a lot harder if I hadn't have had these tools or the amazing healing. It started off when I first found out that I was pregnant with Huxley. I kind of had a lot of mixed emotion, and the reason for that was I'd done a test, and you can get these ones in Australia where you can find out approximately how many weeks pregnant you are. And when I did that test, it came back and it said that it was about 5+ weeks, which then put me in a space of of time when I'd had my tubes checked. So when they actually check the tubes, they put dye through your tubes and do the X-rays. So I immediately went in and started clearing radiation, which I did at the time of every time I had a scan and things anyway. But I called my specialist, and I let her know that she was pregnant. Oh, that she was pregnant, that I was pregnant. And she was very much over the moon because she'd actually just sent referrals to my GP on IVF, if I had chosen to have IVF, because I'd been seeing her because I'd had an ovarian cancer scare the year before. So my question to her was what would happen to my baby. I've had these scans done, the radiation. Is my baby going to survive? Will there be deformities? And she just advised me to get in contact with the radiologist. So I spoke with the radiologist, and he said to me, more than likely at that stage, one of two things would happen, because I still wasn't 100% if the scans were done before or after I became pregnant. And he said if I was already pregnant at that stage, that either I would miscarry, or there's a chance that my baby would also get to the full stage, just nice and perfect. So that gave me a lot of hope, and I sort of believed right from the beginning that if anything was to be going on, that he would be able to be healed. They did this 6 weeks. It was about 6 weeks, so they gave me to have a scan straight away, and you can hear his little heartbeat and stuff going on there, which was just so amazing. And then when you get to around 12 weeks, 12, 13 weeks, I don't know about anywhere else, but in Australia they do test for Down syndrome. And so they did some blood tests on me as well as the scan. And with the scan they tested all the measurements and they checked for the fluid under their neck. And at that stage, after I'd had those tests, they come back and said he was high risk for Down syndrome and for Edwards syndrome. So the next stage from there was to have a CVS, CVS or an amnio, which is a great big needle that they stick into your belly. The CVS is where they go in and they take a sample of the placenta and they do the test that way. And the amnio is when they go in and they test the amnio fluid, which is surrounding the baby. I pushed for a CVS at that time. They gave me the option, and the CVS had a little bit more risk to it. But I wanted to get tests done before I came down to Sydney because I was coming down to do some classes with Vianna. So they didn't actually have any spots with that, and I was able to manifest a cancellation, and they got me in to do the CVS. They did the test, and they have something which is called a fish. So it's an early result which you get back after 2 days, and then they do a long-term result which gives it more in depth. So when I went in and that was all explained to me, when I went in and that was all explained to me, they said if the first result comes back and it's all clear, then your long-term result more than likely would be the same. It's very rare that it would ever be different. But also at that time when they were explaining that stuff, before I had the CVS done, they put you through a whole lot of you go see a genetic counsellor and you talk to doctors and they ask you what you choose to do if your baby turned out that it would have problems. And for me, there only was one option, and that was to keep my baby. I was honouring the fact that he chose me to be his mum, and I was going to honour him. Didn't know I was going to get that stage. So we did the CVS, and a couple of days went past, and it was very, very nerve-wracking. I was grateful for the ThetaHealing tools because it was able to keep me a lot more balanced. I was still freaking out though, you know, as any expectant mother would be. So the early results came back and they were all clear. There was no Down syndrome or Edward syndrome, which was really exciting. I then, that same week, went on and taught an advanced and a manifesting class. And after my manifesting class, I got a message through from Creator, and he said something's not right, you know, something was wrong with his heart, and that really kind of stuck with me. And that next day, I got a call from the hospital, from the genetic counsellor, and she said, look, I'm really, really sorry, this is so rare that it happens, but something's come up in your long-term test. And that there's an extra chromosome 14. So with the fish results, they only tested for Down syndrome and Edwards, and so this was another one. So where people would have like the 46 chromosomes, he had like the extra 14. And I was like, well, I don't even know what that means, but my baby's going to be okay. I know he's going to be able to heal. And so what they wanted me to do, we started the healings right away from then. I called Teresa and we started all of that stuff happening, and then came down and Vianna did some healings and things on Huxley. And then we got the results from the amniocentesis, which came back and said that it was clear. So from that result, they said that the trisomy 14 mosaicism must have just been isolated to the placenta. So it wasn't actually in my baby, that it was in the placenta. We ended up having to be monitored right through the pregnancy. So every 3 weeks I was having scans, they were measuring him. The doctors still weren't happy with that. They thought maybe there's still a chance that something's not quite kind of right there. Vianna did some healings for me throughout the pregnancy, which I'm very, very grateful for. We had a few things pop up. And then when it was time for Huxley to come out into the world, things kind of went a little bit haywire for me, as I planned to have a home birth and have things as natural as possible because I've been given the go-ahead from the hospital. And I felt that he just wasn't coming down. So we turned it over to the hospital and I went there. And 28-hour labour, and we ended up doing an emergency C-section. They were really surprised with how Huxley's heartbeat, like he only had like one little spike, and they were so surprised that they didn't have any trauma throughout it. Yeah, because we kept, you know, sending him love through the whole experience and communicating with him as well. And I also, you know, the ways that I wanted my birth to be Huxley's birth to be was so different, I guess, in, you know, I wanted a home birth and things, and I wanted to keep his placenta. And so my partner, every person that he spoke to, he said, right, you're taking me in for this emergency C-section, we need to have the placenta. She needs the placenta, we've got it, right? And he kept saying this over and over. And then after we had Huxley, you know, he came out and he was all fine and beautiful and really amazing. And they did some tests on him right away, some blood tests, which all came back clear and fine. He didn't have that extra chromosome in there. And Dan got to have the placenta. He was like proud as peach because he made sure that I got that placenta. And in a normal situation, the placenta would just get thrown out or do whatever they would do with it. But we were fortunate enough to actually keep it. And that afternoon they came to me and they asked me if they could have the placenta to do some testing on to see if they could find this extra chromosome, because they put it down to that was what it was. And so the placenta was also tested, and there was no sign in Huxley and no sign in the placenta of any trisomy 14 mosaic.
So if he had the 14 energy of the chromosome, what would have his symptoms been?
Okay. Yeah, so severe problems with his heart, major deformities, a lot of babies that do have that don't actually survive. When I looked it up, there's only about 100 on record since 1970 that actually did have the trisomy 14, so there's not a lot that is actually known about it. And as the mosaic, it's not like that in every cell, it's only some cells. So there may have been something with his heart and then a slight deformity or a slight, like just all very different, but just not as massive as if it had been fully. So yeah, I just feel majorly blessed. They have my little guy, he's totally perfect. No sickness, no illness, no nothing. So, and no trauma, which is really amazing. So yeah, I'm really grateful that we have these amazing tools, and you know, we got to have Huxley doesn't have that extra chromosome, and neither does his placenta, but it also helped me a lot in my process of being pregnant. I'd go into the hospital week, you know, all of those weeks, and I'd see women around me so freaked out, and because of what the hospital told them, whereas I put it out there that I didn't want to hear any statistics because I had my own beliefs in my heart, and yeah, I wanted to stick with that. He's 8 months now. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I've still got the placenta. It's actually in my mum's freezer at the moment. She says, when are you going to bury this thing? And I'm like, I'll let you know. Yeah, so.
Well, that is wonderful.
So thank you, Vianna. Yeah, thank you, Creator, and thank you for this awesomeness we have of Theta Healing, hey?
Yes. Is that the coolest?